the week. This evening we will be around the track of Silverstone again, this time with the WS and the WSR drivers. I'm Front Row Racing, coming to get you 85, and joining me in the comms box this evening is Curly Whirly himself. How are you this evening, my good man?
Yeah, I'm good. Really looking forward to this. We had a pretty interesting race last night, some good battling, so hopefully tonight we'll get more of the same.
Oh yes, and one of the standout racing battles on track I saw last night was with yourself and Breaking Clay, so I want to see a lot more of that tonight.
Yeah, it was a lot of good fun, and one of the things about this game, you know, is just so easy to go wheel to wheel with people. F1 2016, you'd be driving, the slightest contact, it's then you flying off. But on this game, yeah, you got a lot more confidence just being aggressive and actually battling with people.
Oh yes. Would you say it's a track that overtaking's good, bad on here, or?
I'd say out of all of the tracks on this game, this is one of the easiest to overtake on. You get some pretty good opportunities, particularly on the hangar straight. As long as you can get a good run out of Magus and Beckett's, then yeah, that's a pretty good spot. Overtaking's definitely a lot harder this year, but this is one of the circuits where you can, you'll probably be able to get past without being massively faster than the person in front of you.
Ooh, nice bit of information there. But as we stand, I believe we could send them over to the track now, Curly, and see what these guys bring for us this evening. So, as we stated before, I'll just run through a few settings. Curly, if you can just hold fire with while the drivers wait to go over to qualifying. Settings this evening, guys. We are still running no safety car. We are still running no formation lap. And the drivers have been informed via a post on our Facebook page not to rejoin if they're to disconnect or to leave. Curly Whirly sat beside me this evening. How would you say that went yesterday, Curly? I know we touched upon it with your podium interview, but do you feel it's something we can work with going forward for Front Row?
Well, it certainly went a lot smoother than the race we had in Spain last week. A lot of issues there. It wouldn't be hard, but yeah, the race last night, at least from my perspective and what I could see on the track, we didn't really have any issues. So I think as long as the safety car and the formation lap in particular are off for now, this patch is raceable, and I did say that last night. So yeah, I would like to, assuming the things are stable tonight, we don't have any issues pop up here. I'd like to get things going, but yeah, and then we really gotta wait until the next patch to see if the safety car and the formation lap are fixed, and if so, then we could hopefully turn those on. But for right now, it's best to have them off.
Totally agree with that, because we're just exploring the options we've got to hand to see if we can send you guys racing, because you're frustrated, I'm frustrated. I believe we've got 19 drivers from each division frustrated and all dying to get going, so we'll see how this pans out with a couple more drivers on grid this evening. So here we go, flying over to qualifying again. We apologise we can't go in depth as we want to because of the timing function Codemasters has given us, so apologies again, guys. We're going to sort of wing this and see what we can come up with as we go. Oh, Curly, look what we've got.
I think this is the first batch of rain we've had so far this season, the test sessions. Fantastic.
This is going to be exciting. It's a shame we can't see what's going to happen with the race, so we're winging it. If these conditions come through in the race, setup's crucial. Curly Willy, first experience of wet for me, yourself, live. I mean, what are we looking at, buddy?
I find the wet in this game, honestly, to be more difficult than it was in 2016. I feel like the traction in the wet is easier, but the braking in particular is very, very difficult, at least if you're not running ABS, although I imagine that most people in the series and the series reserves will be using that. We've got one or two guys in the grid who might not be. I think we can touch on that later. But yeah, the braking is certainly more difficult, and also I'd say just with the steering inputs, it's very easy, particularly around this track, for the rear of the car to step out and for you to spin. So we may see a bit of that this evening. Overall grip levels in the wet are quite low compared to the dry. I guess in sort of regards to F1 2016, it feels like there's a slightly bigger difference between the dry and the wet grip levels on this game. So the driver's just got to go out there and be cautious.
And see what happens and see what's underneath them. But yeah, currently, I thought, seeing as he's the first man out on track, Curly Whirly, we're on board with Lord Baby, excuse me, JB, and as you're saying, his front end's not looking too grippy. From what I can see, I'm board with him on the T-cam, coming in through Maggots and Beckett's on his warm-up lap. A bit wishy-washy. Interesting. So your description of it seems to be coming true. Whoa, where's he going?
Oh, very wide. Yeah, generally what you find in the wet is that you'll have a lot of understeer on the front end. You'll struggle to get the car turned in, but the rear of the car will be, very tail happy, and it's quite easy to lose it. These guys are running full traction. Maybe that'll be less of a problem, but yeah, well, we'll see how they get on. We've already seen Lord JB have a little bit of a moment out of Beckett's there, so we're going to hop on board and ride through this lap.
We are indeed. We're on board now. Would you like to fly through it, or would you like me to, buddy?
On you go.
So here we go. We've gone past turn 1 already, coming up to turn 2, flying through, hitting the section we like to know as Village. Nice and tight, taking kind of a dry line here. Kissing the apexes. Would you say that's wise, Curly, or would you kind of go for the go-karting line? Because what I'm seeing, it's smooth, but I like to veer away from the racing line when it's these type of conditions.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing. I think through the slower corners, you generally want to take what is the sort of dry line, the kind of shortest route. But at times through the faster corners, you can afford to go a little bit wider. At the very start of qualifying, I'd say there's less use to the karting line, but as things go on and rubber sort of gets laid down, obviously when you're in the dry, you want to be following the racing line. The line with the most rubber on the track is going to have the most grip. As you see, Lord JB just run a little bit wide through cops. Whereas in the wet, once that starts getting laid down, that can actually get more slippy than the rest of the track. So something to be aware of.
That's very, very true. I'd have to agree with it. Curly Whirly, a man of good words, good advice. But as we saw, going through Maggots and Beckett's there, Lord JB himself had a bit of a squeamish rear end. Don't know what traction level he's running, but as we fly down Hanger Straight now, we turn in. I've lagged, unsure what was happening there. Bit of a spike, I suppose, but as we come down to the last chicane, where's his braking zone? Seems like he's taking the dry braking zone, which is interesting. We'll touch on that a little bit later, but it's a nice smooth lap so far. Maybe ballast in the wrong place, taking a wider line coming through. What have we got? It's a 1:42.9. How would you say that compares? Have you got any practice in this sort of conditions around here, Curly?
I've not done any laps in the wet yet, so I'm not quite sure how that was. It looked like a pretty tidy lap from Lord JB. A little bit of, a couple of little twitchy moments, but it was pretty solid.
Interesting, yeah. There's a gentleman on track now I'm dying to get on board with. It's our man Stocky, and I don't know if he's on a flying lap, but he's coming up to the last section of the lap. He's in his beautiful Renault, not the car he'll be participating in a WS, but he is one of our non-assist drivers, sorry, that was in the World Championship, that's now transferred to the World Series. But here he comes, a 1:41.4, so that's interesting.
Yeah, that's looking very good. I think especially for Stocky's runs very wide there. I was mentioning the braking's basically lost the car entirely, just the rear of the car going. You can see the difficulties without the assists in the wet. It's very tricky, but I think what we'll see with it, particularly with the braking, if we hop on board with him a little bit later on, we'll likely see the odd lock-up, because yeah, the braking in the wet without the ABS is very, very difficult.
It is indeed. Bringing that up, we did get a little moment coming through turn 2 where I presume he just gently touched the brakes, and yeah, there was an instant double lock-up on the front end. So it'd be interesting to see how Stocky gets on this evening, being a pre-season test session, of course. But these are some of the guys he will be up against this season. And just jumping back to his teammate for season 8, he's under a new PSN, guys. This is Will One, Win One. Old front row racing GP as we used to know him last season. We're on board with him. He's ran wide. Might be the end of his lap, or he's just finished one. So anybody else, Curly, you can see on a lap at the moment?
I was just watching Malik Kekec finish a lap. Just going to double check what time that he's done. So he's done a 42.1. It's a pretty solid time, a little bit off of what Stocky has managed. But yeah, we'll see how that continues, because Malik Kekec is generally someone we'd expect to be up there at the front.
Oh, it is indeed one of the the contenders for winning races last season, coming around the halfway mark, I believe, but he's one guy to keep an eye on once the season gets underway, and this evening, guys. So, be interesting how Stocky and SBL go about their racing tonight. I reckon we're in for a battle. Flicking back though, I've just jumped to Danny Railton to see if he's going to wind up and go through for another lap, because he's taken the last section very, very steady here. But as we come through the last chicane, I will jump on board and take you through a lap round Silverstone, because me and Curly got talking through the last one. So here we go, guys. Runs a little bit wide through the last corner there as we come down to turn 1. In the dry, it's absolutely flat, don't lift, but he's dropped the gear, lifting, bit touchy on the throttle, coming through 2, even a lift through there. Braking point around about the 100-meter board there, nicely in 3rd gear through as we enter village, sorry. Coming around to the 2nd, tight hairpin, there's the karting line I was referring to. Could be, as Curly Willy says, as the session goes on, we can see drivers adjusting their line to see where the grip levels are around the track. But as we come down the DRS straight, we're entering what was known as the last section of the old layout of Silverstone. Again, taking the dry line is nice, interesting. This is an interesting line. This is where you want to stay away from the apex, try and carry as much speed through, and he's done that quite nicely. Probably could have carried more off the apex, but as we come down the old pit straight, let's see what happens here. Is he going to stay flat? No, he's dropped 2 gears and a lift. Oh, the rear end a bit edgy. That might be a bit of a spike lag there, but who knows. As we come up to Maggots and Beckett's, fly-in attacks the first part, drops to 7th for the 2nd. Here comes, no, 3rd. No, 5th, sorry, 4th, no, he's taking all sorts of lines, sorry guys. This is interesting, it's the first time we've seen wet conditions here, so interesting to see how these drivers get on and see what the race delivers for us as we come down Hanger Straight now. What's he going to do? Brakes down nicely, holding a tight line towards the apex, steady speed, taking his time, easily, now planting the throttle. Coming up, 100-meter board again. Drivers seem to be really cautious on the brakes in these conditions. These are the assist runners, so ABS may be being ran by a few of these drivers, but may not be. We'll soon find out as he comes across the line. It is 7th by our reckoning, but we will find out at the end of the session.
Yeah, it's a 1:42.6, which is a pretty solid time. We saw, particularly in that lap, Danny just struggling to make it to the apex of the corners. We saw that at turn 4 and all the way through Maggots and Beckett's, just struggling to get the car turned in, and he has actually retired from the session. So I imagine that he didn't have the fuel for the remaining laps.
Quite
Not
possibly,
enough time
yeah.
to get himself in the pits.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, we've got 2 minutes 50 seconds to go by my reckoning on the clock. I've just jumped on board with someone, Curly Willy. He had a good showing last time out when you were working with me there. It's Simbo Dude, and he's just about to come up to the line as we speak. So as he enters the last section, big lock up there. I think we found our first non-ABS user there, could be wrong. Taking a nice steady line in the Red Bull on board, see what he does as he comes across the line. Edgy on the throttle. Don't know what his time is. Curly Willy may be able to help me out there at some point, but it looks steady. Woo! I don't know.
Oh, I think that might have been a slow lap there. Just had a big off right there, but yeah, I saw that with the double lockup coming into what is the name of that corner? I forget it, but that chicane there, and yeah, it's just so tricky in these wet conditions, just getting the car slowed down well. Let's see if we can hop on board. So I've hopped on board with SBL Mally Catch. He's coming through Maggots and Beckett's now, hitting the first 2 parts of this corner beautifully, and the third. He's nailing the apexes here. Beautiful run through Maggots and Beckett's for SBL Mally Catch. Just going to jump and see what his sector times are looking like.
Okay, well, he's flying down Hanger Straight.
I think he's on an outlap, never mind.
If he's on a outlap, that's even better, because I've just jumped on board with him, and he's one of the guys I want to keep an eye on, actually, to see how he does. He looks like he's really winding this up. So, Curly, yeah. Would you like to take us through SBL Mally Catch's lap?
Alright, so taking a wide line into the final corner there, that's going to get him the best run possible onto his lap, carry as much speed onto this straight as you possibly can. You're looking for about 75 meters on the left hand side. Little lift in the wet, that's flat in the dry but not in the wet. He's going to take this flat out. A little bit unsteady on the car there, just stepping out from him, but he has actually managed to take that flat and hit his braking point. Talking in nice and tight to the apex of turn 4. Now this traction zone is incredibly important. You're going to carry the speed all the way down the straight. He's had a little bit too much curve on the inside there. I'm not sure if it's invalidated. I don't think that it has. and looking for just about 80 meters in the wet, I would say. Coming into, this is, Luffield is coming into now. See if he drops down to third gear. He doesn't. He holds it in fourth for that stability as Lord JB is down to a 42.0. I think that's one of the fastest times we've seen this in the session. Mike Akech again, well, doing a good job on the traction out of Luffield. Down towards Copse, going to be a lift here. He's taking it in seventh. We saw someone take it in sixth earlier on. He drops down to sixth on the exit, so he's made a little bit of a hash of that. Now into Magazine Beck. It's very, very tricky, man. It's difficult in the dry. It's even more difficult in the wet. He misses the second apex there, but he's hit the third one nicely. Now just by getting a good exit out onto the Hanger straight. I think this is the longest straight that we have at Silverstone. Best overtaking opportunity. Coming down towards Stowe. Very tricky corner in the wet. You really got to attack this. Throw it into the corner. He's going to take this in fifth gear. Early apex. And yeah, it's a good exit there. He's held it nicely. Down towards the final chicane, braking just before 100 meters. Gets the nose of the car in well. Beautiful second apex too. This is looking like a pretty solid lap from Ali Kakech. See where he goes.
No improvement.
No, he invalidated his lap time. I think that was in the first sector. It would have been a 140.3.
Wow,
which is a long way up, and he's invalidated his lap. So, yeah, not great from Ali Kakech there. That was looking like a pretty good one, but just a little cut at the end of the first sector coming on to that that back straight, and yeah, that's thrown away what was looking like a really, really solid performance.
Yeah, the whole lap, as you said, and take us through it spot on, Curly. I like your commentary, mate. Brilliant stuff there. Yeah, the lap looked solid, as Curly said. The time was great, but I don't know. What would you say about how Codemasters deal with the corner cutting and track extending in this game, Curly Willy? Would you say it's fair, harsh, or what would you say?
Not harsh enough. I mean, I'm somebody that's always in the camp of, look, the white line's the track limit, right? And if you go over those, especially in qualifying, your lap should be deleted. So yeah, you know, I would like to see some harsher track limits from Codemasters. We're on the strict setting right now, and yet still it could be stricter. So yeah, I mean, that's what I would like to see from them. Fortunately, with Frontal Racing, we have, you know, we've kind of taken that into our own hands a little bit, and with the ETL system and allowing drivers to watch each other's footage to make sure that everybody's racing fairly. But it would be good if the track limits were good enough that we didn't need to do that.
I would 100% agree with that, Curly Willy. I'm exactly like you, my good man. Track limits, the white lines, they're there for a reason. I mean, if we don't enforce them, or the game doesn't enforce them, or they didn't enforce them in real life, I mean, what's the point in having a track? You might as well make it up as you go along, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is something from you know, the actual Formula One season that happens as well. I feel like they're far too lenient on track limits there, and a lot of the time, you know, the drivers get away with things that they just simply shouldn't. And it's not good to see, you know. I mean, just about everyone, you know. You look at, say, Singapore, the last qualifying session we had, there were numerous drivers running out wide in the final corner in qualifying and not getting anything for it. You know, they're taking more speed through the final corner and, you know, just grabbing an extra sort of tenth or half a tenth, and, you know, that kind of level of racing, that can be the difference between, you know, first and second.
Exactly that, my good man, and you've described that, as I would say, you've hit the nail on the head, sorry. So absolutely superb. I mean, I want to see him enforced. I want to see all four tyres in between the white lines. The curbs were actually brought into Formula 1, not to help drivers push it, but to stop the tarmac from being ripped up. But yeah, here's the qualifying order. I shall run through it this time, Curly Willy, as quick as I can, and then we'll see what these guys provide in the race. So, taking pole was a Stocky with a 140.7. Then we've got Shumi Garcia second, Gonk third, Lefty Hardtail fourth, Simbo Dude fifth. Good showing by this man, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Lord JB sixth, nicely done Lord, loving that. Then seventh, Comries, eighth, SBL Malikekech, ninth, Willow Wolves, 10th, Danny Railton, 11th, Bereavement, 12th, Will One Wimbledon, 13th, RDB, Jarson 14th, Patrick 15th, and Farfur 16th. Sorry Patrick, can't pronounce your PSN name. I'm sure Curly Willy will help me along the way if he can.
So yeah, the main thing I'm noticing there is just, well, with, I mean, Malik Kakech's time, he had that 40.3, which was invalidated for cutting, and, you know, that would have been pole position. and now he's down in P8. So that just shows how important it is to make sure you're getting the clean laps in qualifying. And I believe that we're going to be going straight to the start of the race.
That is correct, no formation lap. So guys, we're going to go straight on. I hope the drivers remembered. They all get off the line and etc, etc. So one of the
It looks
settings
like we're
for bringing
having
in.
a wet race here as well. Do you want to do the start this time, Dave?
Oh, why not? If you could do me a favour, Curly Willy, in the midfield, give me a shout. If you see anything, interrupt me, feel free, because you know what you're doing, and I'll do what I can with the front end.
Will do.
Nice work. So here we go, guys. I've just got to wait for the lights to go out while I stay off board the car. One feature without the formation lap, unfortunately. But yeah, 4 lights, 5 lights. And we are now on board with Stocky. Let's jump off board. There's cars in the background having a little bit of a moment. I'm sure Curly Willy will give us an update of what's going on there shortly, but Stocky has had a fantastic start. Both Mercedes having a little bit of contact there. It's all kicking off these conditions, but Stocky's had an absolute flyer going back past him. Let's jump back on board with Lord JB. It seems a bit crowded around him. We've got one Ferrari sideways. Lord JB's hitting him, a Ferrari avoiding him. This has all gone manic. 7 cars all in line stern, everything nicely done, cars being forced off slightly, but it seems like there's no damage. So as we go through, this is not looking like the best start, but these guys may be just adjusting to the wet conditions. But yeah, so far so good, everything's looking smart. Any updates on what happened at the back there, Curly?
A lot of chaos. We had a McLaren, I think, stalled on the grid. I haven't seen that in a while, but yeah, it looked like he just didn't get off the line whatsoever. I was with Con Reese through that. He started down in about, I think it was P7, and rocketed his way up to P3. Had a little bit of an incident at turn 3, just lost the rear of the car, but he's sitting pretty in P4 at the moment. I'm going to try and find out who that McLaren was that stalled on the grid.
Nice one. We've just jumped back on board with Stocky at the front end, who seems to be settling into the no assist against assist quite well. As far as I'm aware, he's running no assist. Just behind him is Shumi Garcia in second, keeping him close to company. For Danny Railton in the Ferrari, Con Reese followed him in a Ferrari. Then we got Will 1, excuse me, I'll say that again, Will 1, Win 1, with a lot of company behind him in the form of a Williams and a Red Bull. But the drivers seem quite calm at the moment, no moves kicking off. But moving back past him, we've got Lord JB in the Williams in 6th. Then we've got Slimbo Dude in 7th, just behind Lord JB. Lefty Hardtail in the Mercedes on the nose cam, which is really annoying me. We get too many nose cams. But yeah, it looks like a pretty good start. But I've just jumped back. Nope, let's go 1 forward. Con Reese maybe lining a move up into turn 3. Turn 1 just behind Danny Railton, running a bit wide. Nothing looks like it's going to happen at the moment, no. So a fairly clean lap given the conditions, Curly Whirly.
Yeah, the car that stalled on the grid was Willow Wolves, and I believe that he has lagged out of the session along, I think, with SB O'Malley. Kekech has also lagged out. So yeah, Con Reese looking, well, he's looking at his teammate here, just down into down towards Luffield, and these two Ferraris, I think, are going to be battling for a little while. Con taking a very, very wide line through through Luffield there.
Yeah, interesting as they get used to the conditions here. Looking back, got
couple
Lord
of
JB.
Cars in the pits as well, although one of those is Willow, which is a, I think his car is ghosting.
Ooh, please don't say we've got problems already. But just looking back, we've got Lord JB under a lot of pressure from Lefty. Is Lefty making the move? Going into Maggots and Beckett's. Are they going to go side by side? Lord JB on the up. Oh, whoa! From what I saw then, Lord JB took a very, very whip line in front of Lefty. Don't know who was taking the avoiding action and being the aggressor there. Camera angle just changed.
Yeah, Lefty's coming back at him though. He's got the good exit out of Beckett's. They're going to have a drag race along the hangar straight, although looking at that, very, very close in terms of straight line speed. I think a little bit of contact there, and JB will hold the position. Lefty's looking a little quicker at the moment, and they're forming a bit of a train. We've got Slimbo Dude and Gonk behind them as well. He's going to have a look down into the final chicane. No, makes I think a pretty sensible choice there as Stocky does the fastest lap out in front. But yeah, I mean, Lefty is all over the back of Lord JB here. He's going to have another run coming along the start, the sort of pit straight. He's side by side going down into the first corner. This is an ambitious place to try and overtake. They're still going to go side by side, and I think Lord JB has just been pushed off the track a little bit there by Lefty. We'll see if he gives the position back. But that's also opened up the opportunity for Slimbo Dude, and he has jumped in front of Lord JB, although Lord JB is fighting back. but he's not going to be able to get that position. So Slimbo Dude up into P7. Lefty does get the move for P6, but a little bit controversial there. He did kind of push JB off the circuit.
He did, elbows out and all that. Lucky it's a test session, or something may have been said. Unlucky for Lord JB there. He was doing quite a nice job in front, holding the stronger drivers up behind. But yep, cracking on. Next guy behind Lord JB now would be Gonk in the Mercedes, so it'd be interesting to see how these two go. But I'm just going to jump back on front with our man Stocky to see how he's doing, and is Shumi Garcia making any progress on putting him under pressure? Not that I can see, really. All stations are being held.
Yeah, Malik Akach just giving me a message and saying there that he was just kicked out of the session. So some kind of disconnection going on. That's not good to see. A few other drivers as well getting disconnected, so that might be something we need to take a note of.
Oh, we've got the notebook out, Curly Willy, you know me, mate, but just jumped on board with these Ferraris on your touching on a note, and I believe we've got a move coming into the final chicane, have we? No. That Conry's holding off, a bit wobbly. Camera angles, I'm not really liking these. Conry's looking to go around the outside of the final corner. Is room going to be left? Nope, runs wide. Ooh, nearly lost it into the pit wall. Nicely held. We've got the Red Bull in the background looking to make a move of will one, win one. He's looking to make... He's actually caught up quite quickly there, Curly. He's flying.
Yeah, having a little bit of a moment through turn 2 and 3 there, though, losing ground to these two Ferraris. Con's gone off very, very wide. I think he's just gone too aggressive into that corner. He's now side by side with Will One Win One. Contact, a lot of wheel banging going on. If this were F1 2016, one of them would be, well, probably both of them would be off into a wall by this point. But Con holding on to that position by the skin of his teeth. Will One Win One just having a look. He's going to be later on the brake, and it's incredibly late on the brakes. He's going very, very deep into the corner. Con's going to have a chance to come back at him here. They're side by side going into left field. Will One Win One's going to take the tighter line. Con's going to try and get a better exit on him. And I think Will One Win One is through. Yep, he's got a good exit, surprisingly, off of the tighter line, and he's up into P4.
He is indeed, and that was very ambitious on the brakes there by Will One Win One. But looking good and interesting, staying on board with him to see if old Con Reese behind can make a comeback down Hanger Straight as we come through Maggots and Beckett's. It's interesting.
Will One Win One's gone very deep.
And
I think this is going to give a perfect opportunity. Con's taking it, no no questions asked. He's straight past through. Will One struggling, I think, with his tires after being on the grass. Fantastic move there from Con.
Superb, and we've got a Red Bull in background, close behind Mercedes. I believe that to be Lefty Hardtail. It is. Interesting to see how these
Dude and Lefty. These guys are catching Con and Will One after their battle, so I think we could have a little bit of a four-way fight coming here as Stocky is just cruising out in front. It's looking very impressive at the moment.
Yeah, I'm don't know about you, Curly, but I'm a bit surprised by Stocky's pace. I was expecting these guys to be having him under a lot more pressure than they actually have at the moment.
I mean, we know Stocky, fantastic performance last season in the championship. Just before he dropped out in the final 3 rounds, but he was comfortably P2 at that point, battled with Mr. Hamilton for the championship. So, you know, we know Stocky's a very, very good driver, and I think he's somebody that we would expect to see up at the front in the World Series this season.
Do you know what? I'd have to agree with that. I'm just going to be interested to see how he gets on. No offence to any drivers here. This is just a pre-season test session, but once they actually go for it, it'd be interesting when the points are up for grabs. But yeah, looking good, looking tidy, minimal contact. All happy and love and more, as they say. So interesting stuff. Just going to jump back with Slimbo. Is it Slimbo Dudes? Nope. Yep. Sorry. It is it? Yep, sorry. Curly Woody's right. It looks like he's making a move, or making ends into Lefty Hardtail here. So hopefully we'll jump on board and see if anything happens. Lefty looking a bit wobbly, coming up to Maggots and Beckett's, but all fair. Looking good. All cars look stable. Maybe it's the assist factor, I don't know. Don't want to take anything away from them, because it's one thing running them, but it's another thing driving with it.
Slimbo's going to have a good run here. He's Lefty just missed the apex, the last part of Beckett's there. And he's getting himself right in the slipstream. He's going to have a look down the inside to Stowe. He's going to go for the move. They are alongside. He's quite late on the brakes, but Lefty's even later. Lefty runs a little bit deep into the corner, and Slimbo he could have carried a little bit more exit speed and could have perhaps challenged down into the final chicane. But Lefty holds on to the position with some really impressive work on the brakes there. He was very, very late. And these two, they've caught up to Will Win One and to Con Reese, so we're seeing a bit of a four-car train develop here. Which I don't know. I think that I feel like we find that quite often in the wet, that we get these multiple car battles.
We do. It's conditions, whatnot. Maybe setup, as we know, Curly Wurly. Some drivers, because I don't know about you, mate, but I'm looking from the off-board camera of Slimbo Dude, and I'm not seeing no rain no more.
Yeah, the track surface is still very, very wet, but the rain does seem to have stopped. The skies are clearing up a little. You can see a lot of blue up there, so yeah, it's not slicks yet, but give it a few more laps and the drivers might start to consider it. There's a bit of a dry line forming, but it's nowhere near there for slicks yet.
No, it'd be interesting. This obviously our first session, although be it's our test sessions at the moment, where Curly Wurly touched upon. It's our first, well, wet intermediate conditions, so it's interesting to see how they get on. It'd be interesting to see how the undercut works, or possibly the overcut, depending on when you switch to the dry compound, if they can.
Well, I'm gonna interrupt you there. Speaking of slick tires, Gonk has made the move onto the soft compound. He's already had one spin, and it's far too early. He's losing a lot of time to these guys, so he's taking a huge gamble, and it is just on board with him now. No, this is not paying off whatsoever. He's gone much too early.
I'd have to agree with you there. We jumped back when you said that. Caught my eye with the old ears, and yeah, you would be right there. I'd say 2, 3, possibly 4 laps way too early. But yeah, jumping back up with Slimbo Dude, if you see anything Curly Wurly, scream at me. You know what to do, buddy. These guys in that 4-car train seem to be holding station.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this battle up at the front at the moment. There's no actual battling on track, but Shumi Garcia is holding on to Stocky. He's 2.5 seconds behind at the moment, and a well-timed pit stop, a good move onto the slicks, could propel him further up. So this battle at the front isn't done yet. No,
it'd be interesting to see how they get on. As we know, given the wet conditions to the dry conditions, setups could be different. As a Mercedes, we've lost the Mercedes. Where's that gone? Is that lefty? We
got a couple of drivers in the pits now, people heading onto the slick tires. It still looks very wet out there. We've got Danny Railton, Lord JB, Farthba, have all been in the pits for the slick tires. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go on. I'll make sure to keep an eye on their lap times, but that track surface is still looking very wet.
It is indeed. I mean, you can sort of see where the dry line's kind of trying to appear now, but the guys are still kicking up some spray. Through my practice, well, running wide now, so a crossover point could be imminent now as we go along. But Curly Wurly, out of your practice sessions, have you done any wet racing at all, or is it just play it by ear or whatnot?
I would say, well, I've not done too much wet racing, but particularly on this game, the changeovers with the conditions is much harder to predict than it was on F1 2016. In F1 2016, you would pretty much wait until Jeff told you to pit, and particularly with the DRS being enabled or disabled, and that would be your marker for when to get on either the wet or the slick tires. And on this game, it's much more difficult to actually predict it. I'm going to keep an eye on the sector times, although it does look like these slick tires are still a little bit off of the pace of what people were doing on the intermediate, so it might just be a little bit too early.
Yeah, well, I always say if the leader hasn't pit, follow. Oh, we got a Red Bull running very wide. I think we are looking at crossover point coming in the next 2 laps, possibly, unless I'm seeing raindrops, or is that just the spray being kicked up on the camera angle? But yeah, Slimbo Dude looking to make a move. Oh, I've lost who that is. Oh, this is not good. Sorry, will one, win one. That is who it is. Apologies, guys, but as they go through side by side, excuse me, just after the DRS section, they've got company behind. Who is that? That is Lefty Hardtail, a gentleman that had a moment coming off the start of that DRS section about a lap ago. So we've got a 3-car train with 3 drivers that are looking like they will not give a centimetre to each other at the moment. So it's good to see in this pre-season test session, guys going for it and seeing what they've got. These guys will be up against each other in the World Series once we get going. I mean, I don't know about you, Curly. You were with me in Spa. We were looking at Simbo Dude, and he looks very comfortable, and we all know who will win one is. He's no slouch, and Slimbo is looking like the faster driver. Yeah, he's going to go for a move down into Stowe as well, side by side with Will and win one.
and they're still side by side almost all the way through the corner. But once again, we saw this with his attempt on lefties. Not quite aggressive enough out of that corner. He's finding it difficult as Will Win One goes into the pits for a set of slick tires. Slimbo and Lefty Hardtail continue on, and I was just looking at the race director there for the lap times of these guys that have gone into the slick tires, and they are considerably slower than what they were doing on the intermediates. I still think it's too early.
I'd have to agree with you there. I've just jumped on board with Stocky, our leader of this test session round Silverstone. Again, looking comfortable, as Curly Whirly said, jumping back to Shumi Garcia. That gap, I believe Curly Whirly said it was around 2.5. It's now gone up to 3.1. So interesting to see how these guys are pounding their tyres and see what happens when the changeover period comes. But jumping back to third, I'll go through the order, guys, let everyone know where everyone is, and we can see what tyres are on. We've got Con Reese in third, another one of our new reserve drivers, looking quite handy. Again, it's only pre-season testing, but hey, if you're going to come along, give it a go. You want to battle with the best. Moving back to fourth is Slimbo Dude, looking good, one of our new reserves again. Behind him is Lefty Hardtail in fifth, still on the intermediates, all top five still on the intermediates, guys. As we move back to Will One Win One, it is a long way back now, and he has gone for a set of mediums. I believe they will get him to the end if he can handle the conditions, Curly.
Yeah, pitting on lap 8, it is possible to get to the end from there on the mediums, although with the slightly damp conditions at the moment, that may take more life out of the tires than if it were dry. So that'll be interesting to see, but that I think will definitely be what he's aiming for. It should be possible, a little bit of a risk at a puncture at the end, but yeah, I think it will be doable.
I mean, he's just coming up to finish Sector 2, Curly. Would you be able to compare his sector time on his first, well, his outlap compared to the guys in front of him to see if it is ready yet, or, well, maybe not, no need, he's lost it. He's lost it coming onto Chapel there, so excuse me, that might have just thrown that off a bit. But anyway, we'll carry on flicking through the order, guys, while everything settles down. We've got Danny Railton on a set of soft tyres in 7th that looks a bit more stable, may have a bit more downforce on the car. Moving back to 8th place now is RDB. In close company, we've got Bereavement. RDB is on the intermediate still, so is Bereavement, so it'll be interesting to see these guys if they can make any inroads to the guys ahead. Not looking too wise and likely at the moment. Then we've gone back to Lord JB in 10th, who's gone for a set of super softs, if I'm not yep, a set of super softs. Interesting call there from Lord JB. I mean, that's,
in the battle for P4, Slimbo Dude is still staying out on those intermediates. Lefty has gone for a set of mediums, and judging by the lap times, I was just looking at Danny Railton's times, and they're getting close. He's a couple of tenths down on what he was doing earlier in the race on the intermediates, but it's starting to get pretty close to slick conditions, I think.
That's great to hear. So we're looking in the next lap or two, we'll probably see every driver on a set of slicks, unless someone's chancing to try and get an overcut. But no, we're on board with Slimbo Dude. He's looking rather comfortable. I'm liking this guy, I really am. He's reminding me of myself when I joined front row. Stable, comfortable, got a good setup, feel for the game, and yeah, I like to see a new face in the paddock giving it everything they can, trying to get a seat, trying to get a
Stocky
drive.
and Shumi Garcia are staying out. Going to keep an eye on Con Reese, and he is going to head into the pits from P3, and I think he's sped into the pits there. Yeah, almost definitely. I'll double check that.
Okay, we've got Slimbo Dude following him in, so I'm going to jump back to Will One Win One, who I believe, I could be wrong, no, Lefty Hardtail, sorry, is our highest running slick tyre runner, so I'll stay on board with him to see where he comes out in comparison to the stoppers. He's coming into the final section now, so we'll see where the drivers. Ooh, Lefty not looking too comfortable on these. I still think it's too early, Curly. I really do. I know it's a few temps, but I reckon
his middle sector is the fastest middle sector he's done all race.
Wow.
So I think now is the time to get on those slick tires.
Okay, so here we go. We've got Lefty Hardtail coming down the start-finish straight. Where are the gentlemen that have pitted? That would be Slimbo Dude. Do we have anybody
He's just coming out
pit?
of the pits now. He's ahead of him. He's still ahead. Danny Railton setting the fastest lap of the race.
Ooh, that looked quite quick from Danny. I've just noticed Con Reese set of super softs, Curly. Ooh, that's interesting strategies going on. I mean, we all know once the wet weather comes along, tyre compounds, there's no real mandatory tyre, you don't have to swap, so possibly a double stint of super softs if he's got the tyres available, which he should have, given qualifying being wet with intermediates. But Slimbo Dude jumped on board. Looks like he's getting up to grips with these tyres quite quickly.
Yeah, that's an interesting call. Personally, I would aim to get on a set of mediums and go right to the end, or a set of softs if you feel like you can get them that far. Because the pit lane here is incredibly long, so we'll see if Colin is able to make up the time, but that might well be a mistake.
Could well be there, but as we saw from your event yesterday, we know it's about these guys today. You had a battle with Breaking Clays who went for a different tyre strategy over you, and it was interesting how it panned out, so who knows what these guys are thinking. It'd be interesting as they go along. Have we any news on Stocky? Has he darted for the pit lane?
Yeah, both of them are in the pit. Stocky has gone on to a set of the soft compound tires. Shumi Garcia right behind him on a set of the mediums. I think both of them will make it to the end.
Okay, good stuff there. So let's have a nose at Stocky. Now we know he's jumped onto a set of drive tyres, see how he's getting on. One of the last set of soft compounds. Good to see Shumi Garcia set of mediums, so it'd be interesting. This might bring some memories back of last night, Curly Whirly. But in the background we've got Con Reese, looking quite stable, looking good. Will one? Nope. The lap times are tumbling now, Curly. It's all good now. This would be interesting. It's
yeah, happy hour in terms of lap times now. Track's just getting faster and faster. Everybody on these slick tires. We got all sorts of different tire compounds. Every single compound being used at the moment. In particular, the ones to watch out for: Con Reese and Lord JB. And also Willow Wolves have hopped on the super soft tires. Everybody else is on a soft or a medium. So those guys who are on the super softs are definitely going to have to stop once more. Whereas the guys on the softs or mediums may well go to the ends, with the exception probably of Danny Railton, who went to the softs quite early. He went there on lap 7.
Ooh, okay, there we go. There's RPD now dropping it. These times are going to tumble, ladies and gentlemen. So what I will do now, I believe all drivers should, if not will be in this lap making their pit stops. So in the lead we have Stocky on lap 12, followed up by Shumi Garcia, who's still keeping that gap. I believe he might have brought it down. It's now 2.2. Moving on back to third, Con Reese on the super softs, absolutely flying. He looks like he's making a bit of inroads into the leaders, but possibly looks like he may have to stop again. Just behind him, Slimbo Dude in fourth in the Red Bull, looking good. I'm just gobsmacked by this guy. He's just come in and just got on with it. Good stuff, mate. Looking back to fifth, we've got Lefty Hardtail in the Mercedes on the medium compound. Be interesting to see how he goes, pushing on towards the end of the race. We know he's a handy driver and one of our World Series permanent drivers. Then going back past him, we've got Will 1, Win 1 in 6th place on the mediums as well. Slimbo Dude now setting the fastest lap of a 38 dead, looking quite good. Behind Will 1 is Danny Railton on his set of soft compound tyres, looking like he's starting to catch Will 1, Win 1 now. Moving back past him, Lord JB, as Curly Willy told us, on the super softs in 8th. Moving back down past him, RDB on a set of mediums. Looks like he's still got the company of bereavement now on a set of mediums, with DRS now activated, so it could get interesting now, guys. Just seen that pop up with the DRS, well, DRS rear wing open on bereavement. Back past him, down in 11th, is Gonk on a set of soft compound tyres in the Mercedes, looking good. Oh, bit wobbly though, but not too bad. Back past him, Sauber, Jarson on a set of soft compound tyres. Then back past him, we've got Willow Wolves, who I believe, has he left, Curly? Have we lost him? I've got a ghosted car.
Yeah, that will be the case.
Okay, so now we're down to 12 runners, ladies and gentlemen, so it'll be interesting to see how these guys get on back up front with Stocky. Looking at Shumi Garcia, they seem to be swapping and swapping temps as we go along, so it'll be a gap to keep an eye on as the race unfolds. But
yeah, you would expect Stocky on the soft tires just to pull away a little bit from Shumi, being on these mediums, but we'll see which tires get up to pace quicker. It could be that the mediums might actually get up to pace faster in the pretty cold conditions out on track with the wet weather, and Shumi just taking I think about a tenth and a half out of Stocky in that final sector, so that may well be the case.
Interesting, great information there, Curly Willy. Keep it coming, my good man. So it'd be interesting to see how this race unfolds now, with the track's always going to improve. I mean, we're still waiting for the lap times to tumble a bit more. We know that around about the low 30s is dry conditions maxed out. Those are the lap times I'll be heading for, but as this track improves lap by lap, these lap times will tumble, and it'd be interesting to see what type of setup these guys have got on, because the guys that have gone for the lower downforce, they get the reward at the end of the race, whereas the guys that may have gone for higher wings, possibly like Stocky and Shumi Garcia, may be getting the benefit now.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking at the lap times. I think Con Reese may well have gone for a wet setup, because On the last couple of laps, Limbo Dude has been considerably quicker. Although they're very similar to the first sector on this lap, so I'll keep an eye on this. I think the other battle that we have going on is Bereavement and RDB are quite close together. I think that Bereavement is in the DRS, but he's not quite close enough to make a pass just yet.
Okay, well, we'd jump on board with Bereavement, see how this gets on for a minute. As you said, it's the closest cars on track, I believe. We may be looking at Lefty making inroads as the race goes on. Be interesting to see how he gets on. Stocky now setting a 1:34.4. The lap times are really starting to tumble, guys. So, yep, these guys are now finding their feet. That would suggest to me that Stocky's pulled out a little bit of a gap because Shumi Garcia did not beat it unless he matched it. So, yeah, I'm liking this so far. First wet race, and it's been a bit interesting. I must admit, Curly Whirly, you'll probably be able to help me out with this. Bugs, glitches, are we looking good, or what do you reckon? Now you've sat in the comms booth.
I don't think I've seen anything sort of untoward apart from one driver stalling on the grid. And I'm not entirely sure if that was him stalling or if it was an AI stalling. Could have been that he was kicked out at the start of the session just before that happened. So yeah, other than a few disconnections we've lost Willow Wolves, we've lost SBL Mali Kekech. I think Mali Kekech we lost at the end of qualifying, to be honest, because his car isn't even on the list. But other than that, I've not seen anything else out of place.
That's good to hear. Obviously, me being the live broadcaster, guys, I struggle to jump around and see everything that goes on. Curly Willy doing a fantastic job here, guys, keeping the information coming, and information like that will help us make our decision on when we go live, which could be the earliest point of next week with the reserve events. But Front Row Racing admins will need to discuss on the best way to go forward for these guys, because we do not want these guys racing with any types of bugs that can cause big problems in their events. But you know, myself, Curly Whirly, he participated in an event yesterday, and yeah, I think as long as I get the okay, we're looking good to go. But yeah, I'll just give a quick shout out, guys. As you know, this is Front Row Racing. If you're interested in joining and coming to get your elbows out against these guys, look us up on Facebook. That's where you can find us. That's our home. Type it in the search engine. Come and have a look. Check out our videos. They're on YouTube. Links are attached. Videos are up on the page. Drop us a message if you're interested. Come along, give it a go. You never know. If you're a non-assist user, one day you could find yourself wheel to wheel with the likes of me coming to get you 85, or this man sat beside me, Curly Whirly 7, who's no slouch. Oh, Curly. Question. How's the old wheel going?
Slow.
No, I mean, we saw you yesterday take part in the test session. You were using your pad. Oh, Bereavement going for a late move. Sorry. And has he made it stick? He has Willow Wolves. Nope, sorry, not Willow Wolves.
It's RDB in the Haas there. That's his pick for the World Series this season. And did have a look at coming back towards Bereavement there, but I think Bereavement is going to kind of sail off now as RDB obliterates the track limits at turn 1. But yeah, Bereavement just looking a little bit quicker at the moment, and he's able to get past.
Yeah, looking comfortable. I mean, all races are looking good. I'm just going to jump on.
We got Slimbo Dude up in P4, making a move on Con Reese down towards Stowe. He's, I think, going to go for a late braking move, although Con's again later on the brakes. It just looks like Slimbo Dude is struggling through this corner a little bit. He's had a few attempted moves through here, and none of them have come off. Just needs to brake a little later and really throw the car into the corner just a bit more. You can almost always take more pace through there than you would first assume, but yeah, he's very close to the back of Con Reese here, and Con Reese on the super soft tires may already be having some issues with wear, whereas Slimbo Dude on these mediums is just looking incredibly stable. It's something we've picked up on a few times this race as he's almost in the back of Con. The Slimbo Dude has looked very, very stable all the way through this race.
Yeah, as in DRS now activated, can he get a bit closer as we come up? Dropped off a little bit. I noticed you avoided...
fantastic traction for Con out of that corner there, just brilliant, pulled a huge gap on Slimbo.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Con Reese does being on the super soft compounds, obviously cooler conditions. Maybe the tyres are last, I don't know, maybe he knows something I don't, but if that man holds these tyres out, I'll be messaging him personally saying, what's your setup, mate? But Curly Willy, we've had a bit of action. You kind of avoided my question there I was getting onto. I mean, you've now transferred from the pad to wheel, giving it a go. Big differences you've seen, because as an ex-pad user myself now, gone to the wheel. that steering input is massive.
Well, I wouldn't say I've transferred to using it like full time. I'll still be using the pad for league racing and whatnot on this game at least, or at least for, you know, I don't know, until probably about Christmas. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. At least on the no assist side, I would say that in terms of the braking in particular, I think it's a little bit harder on the wheel. It's definitely easier to lock up. But the steering input is much better on the wheel in terms of the turn into the corners, but also just the change of direction is instant on the wheel. There's no delay like there is on the pad. And I was doing some laps around Australia, and in particular through the chicanes there, that was very apparent. So yeah, I mean, we saw a pretty good battle last night between myself and Breaking Clays. I'm on a pad, Breaking's on a wheel, and it was quite interesting seeing the different sections of the track where we were quicker. I think I was definitely quicker in the traction and the braking zones, whereas he was particularly getting a lot of time through Magazine Beckett's and that sort of change of direction. So yeah, it'll be interesting through the season to see how that kind of progresses at each different track.
Yeah, it will. I mean, myself, I've transferred from a pad to a wheel, sorry, and I noticed exactly what Curly Whirly's saying. I mean, I had a quick go around Monaco, for instance, on the pad, and I wouldn't
Just going to interrupt you for a second. We got Lord JB in the pits for a set of softs. Those will take him to the end.
Well, okay, good stuff, Curly. As I was saying, yeah, I've had a quick swap from the pad to the wheel. I mean, went around Monaco on the pad, and I mean, when you hit that hairpin, Curly, I don't know about you, but it's like, oh my god, I need a handbrake to get around this one. But you jump on the wheel, and it's beautiful. In, out, there you go. Jobs are good. So be interesting to see how the pad users compare to the wheel users on this version when the championship gets going. So
yeah, Con Reese in the pits, those super softs just kind of giving up the ghost again. He's very quick into the pits. I think he may be running pit assist possibly. That might be why that I'm thinking he's speeding in, but it's not coming up with anything. It could be pit assist. So yeah, is pit assist enabled in the World Series this season?
At the moment in our test sessions we have enabled it. It's one of those things that do my head in. I'm not keen on these assists. Don't get me wrong, traction control, ABS, I'm happy for drivers to run it because it's what you do with assists and non-assists league. So, but the pit assist side, I mean, if you know how to brake for a corner, surely you know how to brake for the pit line, Curly Willy. You know what I'm saying? It should be. We shouldn't be having these little assists on. It should be, you know, like the manual starts. Yes, you run assists, but you should have to do something for yourself. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that, and at least say for myself when I raced in the series and the series reserves last season that I didn't use the pit assist. I know that some drivers did, and you know, you can gain a bit of time, but for me, I would much rather do that myself, and it's good to see drivers you know, doing that for themselves, because you know, it's a good thing to have. There's a bit of skill involved in pushing those limits without going too far. And yeah, it's something I think I'd like to see kind of turned off for the series, although I'm not sure if all the drivers there will agree.
Nope, and you're lucky you don't have to deal with that. But I'll tell you one thing, I'll say it on the broadcast now, this is all to WS World Series drivers and WSR World Series Reserves drivers. If you would like Front Row Racing's admin team to put a poll up about clutch starts, pit assists, on or off, let us know, drop us a message, and we could possibly think about putting a poll up to see if the majority go for or against it, and we could look to put it in our events to make the interest in a bit more racing, because I'm sure Curly Willy will agree with me, when you've got that type of feature on, it's a bit automatic, you know, all drivers get the same thing, whereas you take it off, you can gain a few temps or you could lose a few temps, and I mean, it makes the pit stops a bit more crucial, and the start for that matter. So yeah, because as these guys that are viewing may not be aware of, when you come in the pits and the guys have done the work and got the tyres done and the guys drop you off the track, if your foot's not on that clutch and you don't release it at the right time, it could cost you a few temps. If you're having a moment and you're a bit spaced out, it could cost you a couple of seconds. So it's all good good in the war of racing. So it'd be interesting. I mean, would you think that'd be an idea, Curly? Should I pull it to the drivers, see if they want it removed, or?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with something like that. Just having a look at Con Reese has come out of the pits on another set of super soft tyres. He's dropped down to P7 and he's currently chasing after Will Win One and is looking considerably quicker at the moment, so given another lap or two and I think he'll probably be having a bit of a battle for P6.
It's like, one mind Curly, I jumped on board when you told me he'd pitted, and I thought, let's see this gentleman's progress, and I'm just on, well, not on board with him, I'm off board, and through Maggots and Beckett's, he's looking very handy. Got DRS just passing a lap car there of the Sauber on a set of soft compound tyres, flying down Hanger Straight, and you can now see Will 1, Win 1 in the distance. So Curly's Willie's information there is absolutely spot on. He seems to be the man on the move on track at the moment.
Yeah, I got some quite big gaps elsewhere. Also in this battle up at the front, Shimmy Garcia is now 9 seconds behind Stocky, so clearly in these dry conditions, Stocky has just put the foot down and is really pulling that gap.
Wow, that's quite good. That, I mean, looking at him in the wet conditions we had in qualifying, his lap time was impressive enough, and that would suggest to me the gentleman's got a dry setup on and he's looking handy, so that made his lap time even more impressive in the wet conditions. But on board with Con Reese, and he has made hell of inroads to Will 1 Win 1. I mean, Will 1 Win 1 is on worn mediums at present that will go to the end of the race, but Con Reese, this move, he's catching him hand over fist. This move looks like it's coming up, if not this lap, possibly next, where he'll be on his gearbox. So hopefully Con Reese can put on a bit of a show, and we'll get to see what Will 1 Win 1 has got in this test session up against the fresher set of Super Softs.
Oh yeah, if anybody's wondering what the current sort of delta is between a set of old mediums and a set of brand new Super Softs, Con Reese was 3 seconds faster on that last lap than Will 1 Win 1, so he's really reeling it in.
Wow, that is something else. We've still got the old 3 sets of compounds that come to the track at Silverstone. We've got the Super Soft, Soft and Medium, and Con Reese is already within DRS range, so he is absolutely flying. I'm surprised this man hasn't set the fastest lap of the race yet. So I think
he did on the previous lap. I think it was a 31.0.
Oh, apologies there, I must have missed that. But he's now within DRS range as they come down the pit straight. So in the next DRS zone, I can see him being right on the gearbox of Will 1 Win 1, who is having quite a steady race there in 6th place. So I mean, look, I mean, I don't know who you're on board with, Curly, if you're watching the same thing I am, Con Reese and Will 1 Win 1, but Con Reese is absolutely looking mega on those super soft compound tyres.
Yeah, I'm actually sitting on board with Con at the moment. He looks like he's pushing the car very hard. Really driving it to its limits. So yeah, no sort of reservation here. He's trying to get up to Will Win 1 as quickly as he possibly can. A little bit deep into left field though. With that corner, you can always just use it to give you a better exit. And I think he's not quite close enough to make a move yet, but possibly through sort of Cops here and then Maggots and Beckett's, he'll be close enough to have a go down the Hanger Straight.
Yep, I'll be absolutely surprised if he is not past him down Hanger Straight, because he is flying through Maggots and Beckett's now, even with the dirty air coming off the Red Bull in front. A little bit wide coming into Chapel, sorry. DRS wide open, he may have just lost a little bit of ground there. He needed to be on the gearbox to give it a go. But do we have any battles anywhere else, Curly Whirly, or is this our closest battle on track?
Yeah, everything else is really very spread out at the moment. Yeah, we got Gonk and JB looking fairly close back in P10-11, but not quite close enough for an overtake yet.
Okay, good stuff there. Just keep the updates coming, Curly Whirly, and if we got a battle elsewhere, I'll jump off board. But at present, Con Reese now starting lap 23. 123 already, Curly Whirly. This race has flown by with the conditions. But yeah, as we come through Village now, I don't like these camera angles I'm getting. I do apologise, guys. Codemasters seem to have us locked into cameras for way too long. We've got Con Reese with the DRS open down the inside of Will 1 Win 1. Has he got the move done? He's got it done way before the corner. So I think that was
okay,
more...
hop on with JB and Gonk. Gonk is right behind JB along the Hanger Straight, although he's not going to have quite enough to get the move done into Stowe. But Gonk on the super soft tyres, JB on the soft, JB running very wide there. And Gonk is considerably quicker at the moment, so this is for the final points paying position. This is yeah, that final point, and you know, when you're sat there in P11, you've got nothing to lose at all. You can be as aggressive as you want to be.
That's exactly right. So we'll probably see a lot of that when the actual World Series and World Championship get going. A lot of drivers being aggressive, and I can see this move being done down this straight. Little JB taking a nice line. And
great traction out there. JB just taking too much curb. out of that out of turn 4. And Gonk is, I think, looking a little bit slower in a straight line. He's got the DRS, but not really gaining. He's not quite side by side, and he's just sort of backed out there. JB going very deep into the corner. Yeah, I think Gonk's just, he's not looking quite as quick in a straight line. He might have a wet setup, and JB might be running a dry setup, possibly. But he's maybe going to have to get a little bit inventive here if he wants to get past.
Oh yes, put the car where it shouldn't be, put him out of position. As Curly Willy said there, being inventive, you've got to look, and he looks like he's trying it. Here we go.
Is he actually going to go for it? Yeah, side by side. Magnus and Beckus, he's going very, very deep. JB's coming back at him, sort of caught right under. They're still side by side. He's going to leave him the room. That's good driving there from Gonk and JB. What a move, taking that position back. And although Gonk has the DRS, I think JB will probably hold it into Stowe. Let's go and goes for a massive dive. No, that's some fantastic driving from JB. Kind of let Gonk make a little bit of a mistake there, and then well, make sure he paid the price for it. Gonk having another look down the inside. A little bit later on the brakes, big lock up from him. But again, JB just holding that sort of defensive line on the inside of the corner, doing a really good job here. This is fantastic stuff.
Absolutely great stuff as they come down to turn 1. I thought Lord JB would have been put out of position there, but no. They are absolutely going for this. This is what we want to see. Gonk now dropping back, maybe waiting for the DRS, coming through Village. Looking good. It's always good to see. I said it last night. If you can go wheel to wheel, no contact or minimal, not affecting the driver around you, it's superb stuff. It's when incidents happen, we don't like it. But Gonk slightly dropped off there. Possibly eyeing up a move down the hangar straight.
Oh, he's just allowed Shimi Garcia through. So that'll be interesting. JB has got to let Shimi through in a place that means he's not going to lose too much time to Gonk. That'll be a tricky thing to do.
It will be indeed. Interesting. I mean, I'm getting stuck on these nose cams. I'm not liking it too much. Just as you said that, I'm going to jump on board quickly with Stocky to see. Yep, we're on lap 25, not far away now. Coming up to start this race. It's been quiet because we ain't jumped on board with you, Stocky, because you've just ran away with it like you normally do unless you're racing Mr. Hamon. So good stuff, fella, in the pre-season of today. But moving back, we're going to jump on board with Slimbo Dude, looking quite good. I'm noticing a lot of drivers got their fuel light on, Curly, so might be interesting towards the race as we go along.
Bit of lag there. JB's just letting Shumi through. He's managed to hold his position while doing that, so that's smart stuff from JB. Did it on the hangar straight, so we didn't lose too much time. Gonk's gonna have a look into the chicane. He's side by side here, and JB's just gone a little bit deep into that corner. Gonk's trying to hold it around the outside, and he has gotten the move done finally for P10. It's a very good defensive drive for a few laps there from JB, but unfortunately just went a little bit deep into that corner, and Gonk has got the move done.
Good stuff there. I was on board. We call it all. Nice work there, Curly Willy. But no, jumped on board with Stocky. We haven't seen a lot of this gentleman throughout this race. He's, as I've said, he was a World Championship driver, now transferred to the World Series, so I'm looking forward to seeing him up against one of the toughest grids I've seen front row racing. But I may need a history lesson in that. What I've seen, it is going to be the strongest grid to take the track in front row racing this season in Season 8. So looking forward to seeing what you got, Stocky. You got some tough competition there, and it'll be an interesting season for yourself. But you've had a fantastic race. It'll be interesting to get your thoughts on qualifying in a race when we get there. So fair play. But looking back behind him quickly, Shumi Garcia in second. Who has he? Nope, Slimbo Dude slightly behind, so we'll jump back on board with Stocky. We haven't seen a lot of him as he comes down into the final section. Fantastic race. I mean, looks good. I'm seeing minimal glitches, bugs and problems. Obviously we'll wait for some feedback from the drivers when we have a quick chat with them after the race, and it'll be interesting. But there you go, Stocky coming across the line to take the victory this evening. Well done, Stocky, good stuff there. Shumi Garcia 15.1 seconds behind. Great little showing from yourself. You come along, give it a go, and that's all what pre-season testing is about, so we can find any problems, etc. But Shumi Garcia crossing the line in second now. Slimbo Dude done it again. He's impressing the hell out of me. Well done, guy. Podium. Nice little race there from yourself. Looking back to fourth place is Lefty Hardtail in the Mercedes, just coming up to the line. Again, a permanent driver, looking good, looking stable, looking handy. Then we drop back down to Danny Railton coming across the line in fifth place. A nice little race from yourself. We've hardly seen you all race bar at the start. Con Reese, another one of our newbies, coming up to the line in sixth place. Another good little showing from yourself, guy. Keep it going, and you hopefully will get a couple of reserve drives this season. Will one in seventh. That's a surprise result for me. I was expecting a bit more from him, but well done, fella. First race I've seen you participate in this season. Looking good. Bereavement down in 8th in the Force India. Nice little race, but as Curly Wurly said throughout the race, all drivers seemed a bit spread out, and now as we're flicking through the order, you are now seeing that. So well done, Bereavement. Nice 8th place there. Hopefully we'll see more of you in our reserve events as we go along. Moving back to RDB, and now I'm seeing wings flying everywhere, and nope, that is it. I'm quite surprised at that. I thought we had 12 runners, Curly.
I think there was just that many on the lead lap, but yeah, something bizarre going on there on the sort of cooldown lap with 2 AI cars hitting each other. Don't think the teams will be very pleased with that one, but yeah, fantastic drive from Stocky today. Just, well, I mean, you know, led from the start, looked in control, didn't make any mistakes, and as soon as that rain stopped, he got himself on that set of soft tires and just pulled the gap.
He did indeed. It'd be interesting to get his thoughts if he comes and joins us for a quick chat, but I mean, good race all round. Bit of a manic start and then it all settled down, but good stuff. So we'll get the drivers in and get their thoughts. But guys, this has been Front Row Racing's test session, and this is how they finished, with a lot of penalties, which is quite a surprise there. But I'll run through the order. In first we have got Stocky taking first. Well done, Stocky, nice result there. In second, Shumi Garcia. In third, Slimbo Dude. They will be our 3 podium guys joining us this evening. Moving on down, Lefty Hardtail in 4th, Danny Railton 5th, Will One Win One 6th, Connery 7th, 8th Bereavement, 9th RDB, 10th Lord JB, 11th Gonk, 12th Jarson, 13th Willow Wolves, and bringing up the rear was Farfper and Patrick.
Yeah, what I will say there is Connery's just losing out on that P6 to Will One Win One on the penalties. He had quite a lot, so yeah, what looked like a very big gap ended up not being enough.
Ooh, interesting stuff there. Curly Willy, you joined me late, so we apologise about this, guys. Do you need me to invite the drivers in or suggest them?
Yeah, although I think I can suggest some of them, but I'm not sure I have all of them on the friends list.
Okay, no worries. If you just bear with us, guys, we're going to get the top 3 in for a little chat if they're still around, and we'll be back very shortly.
Yeah, I don't have any of their accounts.
No worries. Stocky, Shumi Garcia, and Slimbo Dude. The invites have now been sent out to our drivers, so we just need to wait for them to join us. But taken away from that event there, Curly Willy, good, bad, highs, lows, do you reckon, you know, I know it's unfortunate, Codemasters, there's bugs, but do you reckon we could kind of try letting these guys go racing, or do you reckon we still need a few more test sessions?
I didn't see too many bugs today, apart from some disconnections at the start, and I'm sure that we can catch up with those drivers who were disconnected later on. But yeah, in terms of things on track, I didn't see too much out of place, although I'm sure if the drivers here have seen anything, got the 3 of them in the comms box now, they'll let us know. But as far as the last 2 races that we've done yesterday and today, it's looked alright.
Good stuff, good stuff. So we'll just crack straight on with it today, ladies and gentlemen. Stocky, can you hear me? Are you there, fella?
Yes.
Yeah, how you doing? That was a bit of a epic qualifying from yourself, and then to run away with it in the race, I was absolutely gobsmacked. I mean, talk us through your race, and if you wouldn't mind, give your thoughts on bugs, glitches, and would you say we're good to go racing?
I'll start with the second one. From what I can say after the most recent patch, there hasn't been too much wrong. I haven't experienced anything in terms of damage off ghost cars or anything to do with safety car.
Just 1 second, Stocky, let me interrupt you here. Can you guys just all make sure that your mics are on allowed to be shared? Because I'm not sure you all are.
Where is that, Kelly?
If you go to party settings, and then to allow your voice to be shared should be option number 4, and just put it on allow for current party or always allow.
Yeah, I've already done that.
Great stuff there, Curly Willy. That slipped my mind for a second there, mate. I'm glad you're here this evening.
We've just lost Stocky.
Okay, no worries. Well, what we'll do, if you guys have now got your mics to allow to share, we will move on
Mm-hmm.
to Shimi Garcia. Can you hear us, fella?
Hi, I can. How are you
Good.
guys?
We're not too bad. A bit of an entertaining race and qualifying session there. Same question to you. If you could give us your feedback on your race, it looked quite eventful. Nice little battle with Stocky. And bugs, glitches, would you say we're good to go, or we need a few more test sessions, or we need to wait for a patch?
I'll start with the second one. I think it's okay to go. I don't know when the new patch is gonna come out because there's still some things that is wrong. But like the starting, there's some people reversing on the starting line. But with the no formation up and no safety card, I think it's the main issues. I think it's good to go.
Okay, that's great
Uh,
stuff. But yeah, take us through your race, Mugger Man. I mean, it looked a bit promising at times, keeping the gap to Stocky, and then you kind of dropped off at the end. So yeah,
Yeah, I was running a wet setup with 6, 10 wings. I knew in the wet I was going to be near him. Yeah, I knew that, but when it dried up, I knew I couldn't keep up his pace. So I just tried to do my race.
that's good stuff there. I mean, going forward, what's your expectations for this season?
Well, just mainly just to have some fun and be in this commentary box mainly.
That's you and about 19 other drivers, my good man, at every
Yeah,
event. So, but no, given this being our first wet to dry session we've seen with the wet running, before I hand over to Curly Wurly, how do you feel that went? Because it's the first one we've had live, nobody's really seen it, and a bit of feedback on that.
it's okay. I really like wet races, so it's kind of my thing.
Take note, guys, when
So,
it's wet, stay away from Shumi Garcia. He looks quite quick. No, but what I'll do now, my good man, is I'll hand over to Curly, see if he's got any questions for you. If not, I'll let him to move on to Slimbo Dude.
Yeah, I'll just go back to the sort of setup idea. Said you were running really sort of very high wings. Considering qualifying and then the first, sort of third of the race was wet, do you think that was the right decision, or now do you wish that you had gone for a dry setup in order to maybe keep up with Stocky a little bit better in the second half of the race?
yeah, I think I should have went for a different setup because in the first, like you said, in quite first third part of the race, it was quite good. I was keeping up with him, maybe just a little bit closing down to him, and then on qualifying too. But on the second and third part of the race, I just couldn't keep up with him. I should have
And then
gone for that
with
one.
the pit stop, you and Stocky stopped a little bit later than the guys behind, and I think I saw at least with, I think it was Conreese gained a lot on you. Did you consider pitting earlier and trying to get that undercut, or were you really just waiting to follow what he did?
I was just waiting, waiting to follow what he did. I just didn't want to lose his sight. So, so I was just gonna do what he was doing and hope that I had a better pace, which seemed I didn't.
Okay, fair enough. All right, back to you,
Congrats
Dave.
to Stocky and congrats to Slimbo dude. I think it's his third podium and he was quite catching me up. So congrats to him too.
That's good stuff there, Shumi. Congratulations, mate. Good to have you up on the podium. It'd be good to see you on a few more. But we'll move on to Slimbo Dude now. How are you, fella?
Thank you.
I'm good, you?
Yeah, tired, stressed, getting old, but same old stuff, day-to-day stuff. You, my man, are really starting to impress me. You've come along, got your elbows out, and it's like you're a natural and been here for years. I mean, how are you finding it? And talk us through your race.
Well, coming into a new environment, obviously it's daunting, and with this whole setup, but just finding where I stand and hoping I can make gains. As to my race, I got a poor start off the line, trying to take it easy, trying not to cause an incident, and towards the middle of the race I was catching Conreese and looking to make an overtake, but I couldn't make it stick, so I waited till the pit stops and it worked out by pitting a lap later. So yeah, and towards the end, Captain Shumi was hoping that he had more penalties than me.
I like that, more penalties. But yeah, no, it was a cracking race from yourself. I mean, I've been saying it throughout the events. I've been watching you. You're just a guy that reminds me of myself. I come along, started last season, at the start of season 7, got my elbows out, and before I knew it, I was taking part as a reserve in the official events and taking part in the reserve events. And halfway through last season, I found myself with a permanent seat. So you're doing a fantastic job, fella. Keep up all the work, and not going to take up too much of your time because I've asked a few questions to Shumi, tried to get a few answers out of Oh, he's back now, Stocky. So, Stocky, bear with us.
Decided to take a CS though, yeah, sorry about that.
No worries, we'll come to you shortly, Stocky. Cheers for rejoining us. But, Curly, would you like to interrogate Slimbo, see if we can get any setup advice out of him as well?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, well, in terms of setup, did you go for the dry setup then?
Well, it was sort of a hybrid of a wet and dry setup. I was running 5.5 wings. I knew it would be dry, but I didn't anticipate it to be as early as it was. So yeah, just trying to make the most of my setup and the conditions.
Yeah, it seemed to work well for you, and looked like towards the end of the race you had the pace on the guys around you. So yeah, I think that's just about everything from me. Just want to say well done, and congratulations on the podium. You're doing a great job. You've not been here for too long, but it's good to see people coming in and doing well.
Thank you.
Yep, no, and I'll second that, Slimbo. You're impressing us, and it's good to see a fresh race in here, challenging. As I said, I was here and done it last season, so I wish you all the best in pursuing your dream on getting a permanent seat with Front Row Racing, my good man. So, good stuff. What we're going to do now, guys, is Stocky unfortunately left us. He's now returned, so Stocky knows how this works. And Stocky, would you like to continue what you were saying about bugs, glitches, or would you like to move on to your race, my good man?
Well, I'll do both glitch quickly.
Just to double check.
Just
You've
to
got your
double
mic
check.
on.
I
Like
think
we
it
shared,
is.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't had the damage off of lag cars or anything. I've only had the one where it resets your setup. But other than that, I think it's more or less ready to go, yeah. I did a league race on Sunday and everything was fine, so I think we're all ready to go.
That's good stuff there,
Just
Stocky.
need to persevere with it and just accept that some things are going to happen, but we could do in races every other week. We can't, can't run into June.
That's very true. You have got a point there. I mean, Stocky, if you wouldn't mind giving us a bit of feedback as a permanent driver through the messaging system on Front Row Racing with what you've experienced through elsewhere racing, it would help us make a decision going forward. If you caught all that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I like the Sir Stocky. I'm liking this, mate. But yeah, back to your race, mate. I mean, how'd it go? Because you impressed us in qualifying and then ran away with it in the race. So talk us through that, my man.
Qualifying was surprisingly easy for me on the car. Like I didn't feel too, like I was going to crash as much as perhaps I probably should feel. But yeah, I just felt comfortable and I was able to pump out some good laps, and they were good enough for first, so I'll take it.
No, fair
Especially
play.
with no assists.
Oh, that was my next question. Were you running no assists? And if you were, mate,
I was running no assists.
fair play. Are you planning? I don't know if this would be a question Curly Willy was going to ask you, but season 8 is coming up. Are you going to run no assists for that season in the WS?
Yes.
That's good to hear. Have you seen the driver lineup? It looks quite strong.
I have seen the driver lineup, yeah, but I'm confident.
Confident, I like this, just like when you were battling Mr. Hamilton. So, good stuff, Stocky. Look forward to seeing you on track once we go live, and I wish you all the best with the season ahead. I'm going to now hand over to Curly Willy and see if he wants any setup tips from you.
Yeah, after my setup yesterday, I think I might need them. Yeah, just going on to sort of back onto the topic of this season. I think it's fair to say that this season of the World Series looks to be the strongest in terms of driver lineup that it's ever been. We obviously had a great season last season in the championship, and took that sort of championship fight all the way until you couldn't run in the last 3 races. I'm assuming that the championship is, winning the World Series is your goal this year. If you do get into the season and you find that you're losing time to the assist runners, would you consider turning them on, or are you going to stick it through?
I'm gonna stick it through. I think I get a lot more sense of accomplishment when I do it without any help from the game or without the game doing it for me. Yeah, it's a lot more rewarding when you win when it's just you doing it. And this game isn't too hard anyway without traction. There's a lot more downforce. The car's a lot more planted in general, so I don't feel the need to run any traction control or any ABS.
Alright, it's good to know, and good luck for this season. It's me done.
Okay, good stuff there, Curly Willy. Stocky, we'll ball it up in the race. Just going to ask you one more question, if that's okay. We brought up throughout that event about, the World Championship. I mean, we've got clutch starts in this game. We've got clutch releases in the pit lane once the work's done. Would you think it'd be a good idea for Front Row Racing's admin team to discuss the possibility about making that manual for the World Series this season?
I think it should be definitely it should just be manual. It's so easy. All you have to do is do the race start procedure. Like, if you can't do the race start manually, like, what are you doing?
Exactly. I believe the words I used was, it's like pit assist as well. You do it at the start, you do it in there.
Pit assist is silly. You just got to slow down for your marks. It's not that difficult, is it?
No, and it's something I brought up, and you might laugh at this comment, but I'm not taking the mick to the World Series drivers. It's something we will put out there to you. If you can brake for a corner, Stocky, surely you can brake for a white line.
Yeah, it's simple. It's easy stuff.
Exactly. So, yeah, we'll have a discussion about that behind the scenes with the admin team, and probably put a poll out.
The problem you get with it is you get the pit assist, which means you can just, like, in some tracks you can just go straight into the pit and not have to, like, brake before the line, and it slows you down. You don't get the pen, or it slows down for you. Whereas if you don't do it, you may slow down earlier, and then the risk of that is you get hit up the rear from the guy behind, they get damaged, and you possibly speed into the pit lane and you get a drive through. But having it off just seems to just levels it, because everyone's taking the same precaution, slowing down.
And I believe you'd agree with us in surely it'd make the racing more exciting, because you could either gain or lose, so it'd make it.
It's more variability, isn't it?
Exactly that.
It's better for spectators, it's better for everybody.
Exactly that. So it's something we will talk about behind the scenes, and it's something the admin team will look into. And before we make any decisions, we will discuss it with the drivers firsthand. Yeah, because it's the way Front Row Racing works. So, I mean, other than that, Curly Willy, is there anything else you would like to add before I wrap the show up?
Just want to say congratulations to the podium sitters. All of you had pretty good races today. Showed what you've got. Looking forward to watching you guys race in the rest of the season. And that's it from me.
Okay, good stuff there, Curly Willy. I've got to say thank you very much for joining me on comms this evening. You're doing a fantastic job. Nice little partnership. If you want to join again, just let me know. Other than that, if you feel like come along, guys, giving it a go against the likes of Stocky, Shumi Garcia, Con Reese, newbies that are here, or Stocky, one of our permanents, or trying the World Championship Reserve side, come along, Facebook, Front Row Racing. You'll find us on there. Drop us a message. Let us know your interest on which side you would like to drive in, non-assist or assist, and we'll get back to you and see if we can get you into one of our events to participate and go up against the guys you've seen here this evening. Other than that, I've been Front Row Racing C2GY, also known as Coming to Get You 85, and next week we may be going live. Don't hold your breath on it. We will be discussing the matter behind the scenes. If we do, it will be announced on our page on what we do. Other than that, this has been Front Row Racing. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Good night. God bless.